Pasta, hoagies, pizza, salads, gelato, cocktails, espresso, and a retail shop featuring DeLallo brand favorites. Manja featuring DeLallo, opening April 9th at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Looking to update your home? Koval Building Supply at 40 Monroe Avenue in Uniontown is more than your plumbing supply store. We specialize in kitchen and bathroom remodels that transform your space from outdated to outstanding. Our designers work with you to create the look you've always wanted with custom cabinetry, countertops, and flooring options to fit your style and budget. Call Koval today at 724-437-8824 or visit kovalsupply.com to plan your dream kitchen or bath. Koval Building Supply, everything you need to make your house feel like home.
Wind, hail, sudden leaks. When your roof takes a beating, we're here for you at AR Roofing and Remodeling. We're a locally and veteran-owned contractor available 24/7 for repairs. As an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor, we get the job done right. Call 724-550-3064 or visit arremodels.com for your free estimate.
AR Roofing, never settle.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, the voice of reason, Dave Dunaway. It's Thursday, March 19th, 2026, and you're listening to The Sports Voice. Well, the madness has begun, and it may not be over. We've already had our first 12-over-5 upset in the 2026 Men's NCAA Basketball Tournament. I hope you had High Point on your bingo card, everyone, because they knocked off Wisconsin just a little while ago. But is there something larger brewing? With 17:50 left in the second half, Siena, that is number 16 Siena, has a 13-point lead right now over the team that many felt would win this entire bracket, the Duke Blue Devils. Duke has not looked good in this thing. 32 points only in the first half. We'll see if they can turn it around here in the second half, but I will continue to update you. That is our developing story that is taking place right now in the NCAA tournament. Also, as we speak, number 5 Vanderbilt at halftime, barely holding on to a 3-point lead against number 12 McNeese. Will we see another huge upset take place? As far as the other games that are already finished, Louisville a 4-point winner, Louisville a 6 seed, 4-point winner over number 11 South Florida. Nebraska a 76-47 win over number 13 Troy. And TCU, I guess it's an upset. That's a 9-over-8, 66-64 over someone here at the station's favorite basketball team, Ohio State. As Brian Morozak is yelling in, he picked TCU. Good pick, Brian. So did I. we will keep you updated throughout the show. There are a few other games that are going to be starting as well. We've got Michigan State, North Dakota State, Hawaii, Arkansas, VCU, North Carolina, all of that scheduled to start within the next hour. In addition to that, we've reached week 2 of NFL free agency. After I went off the air last week, the Steelers signed safety Jaquan Brisker, WPIAL talent, also Penn State talent. I guess that's one of the WPIALs that Penn State was able to acquire through the years. Brisker, formerly of the Bears, it's a good signing. We'll look at what else the Steelers have done since last we've been on and try to look at what the roster is going to shape into as we're just a little over a month away from the NFL draft, which, by the way, will be held in Pittsburgh. Saw a lot of tree chopping going on yesterday on the North Shore. But don't worry, they're going to replant them somehow, some way when all of this is over. Wish I had that job. Can only imagine how much fun that's going to be. The Pittsburgh Penguins, well, you got a little bit of a preview of what the playoffs are going to look like for the Penguins. They are definitely a team that hangs in there and fights. But when it comes down to it at the end, that overtime or shootout or whatever it is that comes after regulation just seems to bite them constantly. It was overtime last night, 6-5 losers to the Carolina Hurricanes, the best team in the Metro. They do salvage that loser point. They're very used to getting that. But in the end, you look at goaltender Stuart Skinner, and you talk about all the great saves that he had in that game. He also gave up 6 goals. Unfortunately, that's about as good as it's going to get. Until they figure out that Sergei Murashov is the best hope they have to, first of all, get into the play. They're not a lock to get into these things and to actually win when they get there, but they continue to go back and forth with Shilovs and Skinner. And in the end, when they get to these meaningful games, they a lot of times come up on the short end of things. So we'll see how this progresses as the season continues. But of course, the big news last night, the welcome back to Sidney Crosby, who, by the way, looked like he never left. It's amazing at 38 years old what Sidney Crosby is able to do, whether he's coming off an injury, whether he's playing 4 days in 7, it doesn't seem to matter. It's full energy, 100% excellent hockey, and Sidney Crosby a major reason why the Pittsburgh Penguins were able to hang in as long as they did with Carolina. A lot of lead changes, I believe an NHL record for most lead changes in a regular season game. So they got a point, but Carolina got 2. I don't know if anybody really thought they would catch Carolina. I think most people are hoping they can hang on to the 2 or 3 seed to ensure that they make it, not have to worry about what's happening in the Atlantic with these wild cards. But in the end, coming up just a little bit short, your Pittsburgh Penguins. They've got Winnipeg up next on Saturday. The Pittsburgh Pirates still have Connor Griffin on the roster. Only a couple of guys that are still around, him and Alika Williams. I can't imagine Alika Williams is going to make the team. So can Griffin make it over a Nick York, someone that right now is penciled in to be on this roster? Griffin is hitting under 200. We talked about this last week. That's going to be the excuse that the Pirates are going to find sort of handed right to them. But will they do what's right and not do what is financially beneficial to them? And we know in the end they always do what is going to save them the most money, and sending Griffin down to the minors is probably going to save them the most money. Is he ready? It's hard to say, but when you look at what else could potentially be out there, is he any worse? Is he any worse than Jared Triolo playing 162 games? I can't imagine that he is. So in the end, I'll take option A, which is Griffin on the roster opening day, but I have a feeling we're probably going to get option B or C, which could be, who knows, which 40-plus-year-old they decide to sign in the last minute and bring them in and put them out there in a meaningful position. We've seen that happen before as well with your Pittsburgh Pirates. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And just the other day, the fake Olympics wrapped up, or as most people call it, the World Baseball Classic. A lot of disappointment. Team USA losing in the finals to Venezuela. And quite honestly, I didn't watch a second of any of that because it is the fake Olympics. If Major League Baseball put a better product out there, they wouldn't have to do gimmicks like this to get people to watch baseball. I'll let Nick, I'm sure he's probably watched at least some of it. He can tell you about the amazing performance of Aaron Judge and Team USA in these fake Olympics that happened the last couple of weeks, I guess. I'm just glad Paul Skeens is back with the Pirates. People were talking, not that I saw, but people were talking that Paul Skeens was very upset and angry at the fact that Team USA didn't win. And my comment was, well, it's probably the most competitive thing he's been a part of since he played for LSU, so that could tell you why. I'm sure baseball was happy because they had something that they consider to be a big stage, and they actually had Skeens in it. So normally he's nowhere to be found when something major is happening, at least not for a couple of years when he goes to a real team and gets to showcase his talents. If you're watching on TV, you can see that the studio has changed a little bit. We've got some new looks in here. We've got some dark curtains that are hanging over. Like, I feel like I'm in like a legit studio here as I'm turning around and looking at all this. We've definitely upgraded here at WMBS. I don't know if Nick was here hanging curtains. I'm not sure what actually happened here. I'm trying to imagine Nick doing like, labor-intensive work. And then after I smile and giggle for a little bit, I realized it probably wasn't him.
No, it wasn't me. I watched.
I mean, this is big time. We got a new camera. We had that last week, so I don't know, what the sort of look is that you're getting from all of this. But we've just moved into the 21st century. Yeah, we got curtains and cameras, and we're looking good here. So if you don't have the opportunity to watch on Facebook, hopefully you'll be able to go later tonight and sort of pull that up and rewatch just to see the ambiance that surrounds us here. Yeah, you've thrown the big words out the last couple of weeks here at WMBS Studios. So
absolutely.
Yeah, Nick, it's probably the greatest couple of days in sports.
It's a lot.
Because just about everybody in the country bets on this thing.
Right.
And there's nonstop basketball from noon until probably 1 a.m. by the time these last games wrap up. And we got to see a little bit of excitement earlier with High Point and Wisconsin, and now a little bit more excitement. Duke has cut it down to 6. Right now it's 47-41. Actually, they just scored 47-43, so it's down to 4. But you don't expect it. Only one time, right, in history that a 16 has beaten a 1.
Right.
We don't really expect 23-11 Siena to be the second team to do this. I mean, Duke only had 2 losses all year. They're the ACC champions. They're the perennial favorite for probably just about everybody picking these games to win this tournament. But still, it gets you. This is what the NCAA loves to see. Right. They don't want Siena to win, but they want a game like this that you'll sit there glued to watching so that you can see all 5,000 commercials that they have on during the game with their 55 timeouts that they have between them. They want you glued to this. They want you excited, thinking that there's a chance for Siena to win. And then in the end, Duke wins anyways, and they're happy because nobody's going to watch Siena in the next round. But
Right.
they'll definitely watch Duke.
Yeah, it's a TV show. The last thing they want is Duke to actually lose this game. But Siena, who no one's ever heard of or cares about, they're giving Duke a fight, and that's the reason to watch today. That's all they care about. You're right.
Isn't Siena a color?
I think it is. It's in the crayon box.
And if Duke beats them badly, that would be burnt Siena, I'm guessing.
That would be very good.
But
Dave.
in the end, it's not happening. It's still a 4-point lead. We've got 14:51 left. McNeese and Vanderbilt still at halftime. Those are the only 2 games that are ongoing. And I know Nick is in the bracket here that's run primarily through WMBS. And
Right.
I'm just wondering, out of these early games, are you undefeated? Did you get
No,
High
far
Point?
from it. I had that one, actually. But, yeah, I had Nebraska winning, Louisville as well, TCU. I had the other side in that one. Sorry about the Buckeyes there. But, yeah, you got to pick one 12-5 matchup, and that was the one. So I'm good on that. But still a long way to go, Dave. We're not even halfway into the first round. The first 4 is over. That's not the first round. That's the first 4. I know it's very confusing.
Yes.
But now we're in the first round, and it's a great few days.
Well,
and usually
I was-
the people who do the best of this bracket thing have never seen basketball or haven't watched it all season. I didn't watch a lot, but I watched a little.
I was really confused last night because I was trying to figure out why Miami of Ohio, who was undefeated all year, was playing on a Wednesday.
Right.
Like, they should have been playing either today or tomorrow
You
for
would
their
think.
first round, right? I mean, that's normally how that works.
They were 31-1, I believe, but that record was not good enough because they're not in a major power conference. But they were in Dayton. They were in their home state. I'm sure the fans were going nuts for them. I get it, but I don't get it. They should have been automatically into the first round, but they weren't, and they won, so there it is.
There it is. So we will continue to keep you updated if anything major happens. I'm sure we'll break in immediately if Siena ends up pulling this
If
thing off.
Siena beats
against Duke.
Duke, yes, we'll interrupt programming.
I can't imagine it's going to happen, but just in case it might,
They were
you
down double
never
digits at
know.
halftime, which is remarkable.
Right, and Duke has, one big-time player, the freshman Boozer,
Right.
Carlos Boozer's son, who has about half of their points right now.
Yes,
So-
but they're supposed to win the whole thing, and they're struggling to fend off Siena day one.
It's always tough when you're so reliant on one player
Right.
because if something happens, they get in foul trouble, they get injured, you really run into a roadblock there. But it looks like he's about as on fire as it gets, as normal for Duke. So we'll keep you updated as we move through. I do want to talk a lot about the Penguins, but I'm going to save them for the second half just in case some excitement happens with this Duke thing. So I figured we might as well talk a little bit about NFL free agency and sort of what's going on. The second week, nowhere near as exciting as the first week, but we've seen trades. We saw Jalen Waddle get traded yesterday to Denver, making them even better. And you start looking around, and a lot of people have hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be better this year because of Mike McCarthy, because of more of a focus on offense. But when you take a look at what you've got there, it looks pretty much the same. You still don't have a quarterback. You don't know even who it's going to be at this point. You have an idea, which is probably not a good option, but you don't have one in place outside of Will Howard. When you look at the running back situation, it probably improved or maybe stayed the same. It all depends on the comparison between Rico Dowdle and last year's MVP, Kenneth Gainwell. When you look at the receiving core, I guess it all depends on what Michael Pittman brings to the table. Is Pittman going to be what he was 3 years ago, or is Pittman going to be what he was the last 2 years? And who do you blame for that huge decline? Do you blame Shane Steichen, or do you blame the fact that Pittman has lost a few steps and is not able to keep up in a high-powered offense? You look at DK Metcalf and you ask yourself, is he going to be the big play guy from Seattle, or is he going to be the big-time ball-dropping, crowd-fighting, whatever he was last year? What are you going to get out of him? And then when you switch over to the defense, are you going to stick with all the old overpaid guys? I guess, because nobody's going to take them off your hands. And this is what you're talking about as being the key to your team is this defense. But McCarthy's more focused on offense. He's calling all the plays there. You bring in Jamel Dean, you bring in Jaquan Brisker. You're definitely upgrading. Like, I don't think there's a player that was brought in by the Steelers that I look at and say, I think this is a downgrade over what they had last year. But in the end, is it enough? Look at what Baltimore's bringing to the table. Look at what Cincinnati's bringing to the table. And that's just in their division. We just mentioned Denver trading for Jalen Waddle. You look at Kansas City and what all they've done, bringing in Kenneth Walker last week and still solidified with that young receiving core, and Mahomes, who claims he's going to be back maybe for the start of the season. You start looking at other teams like New England, who I think is only going to get better. I don't anticipate New England trying to find a number one in a free agent class that doesn't have one. I anticipate New England taking pick 31 and using it with a bunch of other picks and trading up, not to get somebody the Steelers are eyeing up at 21. I see them going higher and getting a Lemon or a Tate or someone like that. So I think when you take a look around and you see what's there, I think there's a lot of talent on a lot of teams that's still head and shoulders above the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially if they settle and bring back Aaron Rodgers again for another go-round. And we talked a lot about Rodgers last week. For anything that is talked about as far as what he upgraded, they still finished exactly the same at the end of the year. They still were a one-and-done in the playoffs, a blowout loss, just like normal. So I think with the sample size that we saw from Rodgers, maybe there was a little improvement here, a little improvement there, but in the end, it didn't matter because they were still the same. Will you get more of an improvement? A lot of people are citing McCarthy, but in the end, Rodgers is going to do what Rodgers wants to do. Rodgers doesn't want to do anything new. He doesn't want to do anything innovative. He doesn't want to do the motion that most of these young coordinators do. He wants to do it the same way he did it a decade ago in Green Bay. Can that win in the AFC North? Can that win in the AFC playoffs? That's the real question. And what if Rodgers says no? What if Rodgers decides, I don't want to come back. I don't want to do football anymore. Maybe he gets a more lucrative offer. Maybe a game show is looking for a host. Who knows what else he might want to do. Do you go with Will Howard? Do you draft somebody? Do you sign a free agent? Do you trade for a quarterback? I mean, honestly, what do you do in that situation?
Well, they're hoping for Aaron to come back, and it's amazing they're pinning all their hopes on this guy who is in his 40s. And yes, some aspects of the offense got better. Overall, I think it looked better last year from the year before. They were better in the red zone, and that's all Aaron. Nobody believes that was Tomlin or Arthur Smith, excuse me, or anyone on that offense. So Aaron did make them better, but again, it's the same end result, 10-7 and a first-round playoff exit. So, I mean, going into next season, yeah, do you draft someone? They're not really in a position to draft someone. With Ty Simpson, I think would be the only one. You're not a fan of his record, and I don't think he's that great either. But I don't think the quarterback of the future is not on the roster right now. It's certainly not Aaron Rodgers, and it's not the other guys they have there. So I don't know. They're hoping he comes back to give it one more go with McCarthy, and they're hoping that it's like going to be 2010, 2011 with Green Bay. But those years are gone. They don't have the personnel. Rodgers is that many years older. So I think they're trying to get lightning in a bottle again. It's just not going to happen.
A lot of it's going to depend on the offensive line and whether they can
Right.
protect him, because he's too old and immobile to be able to make plays happen after the fact. He can't extend anything at this point, as we saw last year.
Yeah.
So you got a line that's pretty much in shambles at this point. And I know they had talked about the fact that they thought offensive line was deep in the draft. So instead of addressing it in free agency, they had planned to address it there. But I think when you look at that position, and if you ask yourself, well, why do you guys talk about that every week? Because it's the most important position in football. Your team lives or dies based on your quarterback. You saw a team that, I've said numerous times with New England was way too early, they just weren't where they were supposed to be. But because they had Drake May, they ended up making it to the Super Bowl.
And not every team is lucky enough to be graced with the quarterback play of Sam Darnold, for example.
Well-
He can win you a Super Bowl.
Well, he did win Seattle a Super Bowl.
did.
He didn't win any of the other 7 teams he played for a Super Bowl, but he did win Seattle a Super Bowl. And, Darnold's a great story because when you look at him, he was a disaster in New York.
Who
And-
isn't?
But that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing. There was nothing to learn there.
Right.
Ends up in Carolina equally as a disaster, and then shows up in San Francisco and learns how to play the game in the NFL. Goes to Minnesota, takes them so far, looks good through the regular season, but just hits that wall when everybody starts to ask, can he not win the big one? Goes to Seattle, wins the big one. So it is possible. You can find that reclamation project, but it's like finding a needle in a haystack. To think that you're going to be able to pull that off, you better hope they end up in San Francisco at some point before they get to you, because that's your best shot that the most innovative offensive mind probably in the history of the NFL, Kyle Shanahan, gets to work with them and give that tutelage to get them ready for what NFL football looks like. And Darnold said a lot of it was just check downs and, going off of that number one receiver and disguising it so the whole defense doesn't know that's what you're doing. That's the key to what he was trying to do. I think when you look at the Steelers situation, Rodgers, forget it. You're going to be mediocre again. You're not going to be really bad. You're not going to be really good. You're going to be probably the same result this year as what you were last year. So what other options are there? Well, you can go with Will Howard. And honestly, if it's Will Howard or draft somebody, I just go with Will Howard because you're wasting draft picks if you do this on any quarterback this year. I think looking at Ty Simpson, he'll probably be gone. So if you want him, you got to trade up. That's a waste. When you start moving through, I've heard Drew Aller's name come up, possibly in the 3rd or 4th round. I've heard some other names. I heard Sawyer Robertson toward the end of the draft. I've heard Klubnik. So the names are sort of swirling around there. But quite honestly, if you start to look at those players, I don't think any of them are better than Will Howard. I'm not saying because I think Will Howard is good. I just don't think, I think they're all the same. You're getting the same, it's the same chance that you're going to take and hope. at that point, I'd just go with Howard. Maybe they win 3 or 4 games. That might be the best thing could happen to this team. Because I assure you, if they ever would start Aller or any of those other guys, they're going to win 3 or 4 games too. They just don't have the capability of playing that NFL quarterback position. So then you look at trades. You look at Mac Jones, the name has come up. I mentioned on here last week J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
But what do you have to give up to get these guys? And normally I wouldn't say either one because everyone knows what I think of Mac Jones from his time in New England. And I know everyone is really soured on J.J. McCarthy. But if Mike McCarthy is this guru for young quarterbacks, then why not? Why not roll the dice and take the chance? He should be able to make anybody good, according to what people are saying about him out there right now. So you've got that, and then, of course, you have free agency. Kirk Cousins is still there. Joe Flacco is still there. I mean, do you want to go with they're a little younger than Rodgers.
Oh,
do you want to go with those options?
Yeah, they're not the future either.
But there's no
there aren't great options.
no good option
No,
for
but,
this year.
But what they should do is what they're terrified of doing and refuse to do is have that 3-4 win season. That's why they're desperate to bring Aaron back because it's an easy 9-10 wins, and your head coach's name is still Mike, so you can keep the streak going, I guess. It's not the same guy, but, I don't know what don't they get, though? When they had the 2 times they won Super Bowls, they had Hall of Fame level quarterbacks, and you get that by having a 3-4 win season. Bradshaw, Ben, they had bad years the year before. They don't want to do that, though, so should they bottom out and win 3-4 games? In the moment, it's going to be really painful, but overall, I think, look at what New England's done. They've rebuilt, and they're back in the Super Bowl before the Steelers can win a first-round playoff game. So I don't know what they don't get. They should be uncomfortable for a year or 2 so they can have, decade-long payout, but they refuse to do that.
And quite honestly, Sam Darnold is the outlier in all of this. Malik Willis, we'll see. I mean,
like
that
him a
still
lot,
remains
but,
to be
we'll
seen what
see.
he's able to do. But you look, even for backups, yesterday the Eagles traded for a quarterback so bad that we don't even say his name on here, a former redhead that played for Cincinnati.
It's a swear
who, by the way,
word.
somehow is still in the league.
Eagles, right?
How does that guy recycle? Philadelphia traded for him. And just today, Minnesota brought Carson Wentz back in.
He's going to battle Jalen Hurts for the job.
Yeah, I mean, these are the guys that are just getting recycled year after year. There's nothing out there, literally nothing out there.
Willis was it that I wanted. Murray maybe, but Minnesota gobbled him up. The Steelers weren't interested.
No, they
Amazingly.
weren't. And I don't know
Too
I bet he
small,
wasn't
too
interested
whatever.
in Pittsburgh.
Of course not.
I mean, you don't know what you're getting with McCarthy. You knew what you had prior to, and you know the shortcomings. There's no young receivers on this team. Calvin Austin went to the Giants. He couldn't figure out what was going on. Roman Wilson didn't understand what happened in an audible. He would just run the same play, and you could see the glaring eyes of Rodgers just screaming at him. Caleb Johnson doesn't know how to block. He would just stand there, and the guy would blow right by him and just go right on top of Rodgers, and Johnson would turn around waiting for a pass because he had no idea what he was supposed to do in that situation. And these guys wonder why they were all benched by de facto offensive coordinator Aaron Rodgers last year. I mean, there's nothing there.
No.
You're banking everything on a bunch of old, overpaid guys, including Metcalf and Pittman, who have both looked old the last couple years.
But they have an offensive head coach now, and he's from Pittsburgh, Dave.
Well,
That's
it'll
all that
look
matters.
better. I think you'll see better
It'll look
play
better.
design.
It'll be more fun to watch.
But it still doesn't mean that the personnel is going to be able to execute what you're trying to do. I think that's the problem. Like Freiermuth hasn't been involved in the offense for years. And if you get him too involved, he could be concussed again, and that might end his career, the next one. I mean, there's nothing. Warren, do you let Warren be Warren? Dowdle's running around saying he thinks he should get the ball pretty much every single snap. I mean, I can see something coming to a head real quick with this team, especially if Rodgers is back, because he's going to be 100% frustrated if everybody's not doing exactly what he tells them to do. So that's what you're looking at with the Steelers and with this situation that is on the horizon this year. I don't know. I don't know if there's a good option. I don't think so. I think, like you said, I'd ride it out with what's there, and if it's a 4-13 year, then it's a 4-13 year.
Good.
In the end, that might be better for them. But I'm looking at the competition. The better teams are getting better. I think the worst team, there's going to be a huge discrepancy between good and bad. Miami, I would say, might be one of the worst teams in the history of football this year if it wasn't for the fact that the Jets were still around. There's some really, really bad teams, some really, really good teams. Not a whole lot in the middle, but I think, unfortunately, for the Steeler fans out there, that's right where the Steelers are going to be, somewhere in this middle, hoping to just do enough to get into the playoffs so you can get blown out by a much better team, just like you've done the last several years. Anything else big? I know the big trade of Waddle. By the way, Miami is getting rid of literally everybody.
Right.
So you bring in Malik Willis, you pay him all this money. Tyreek Hill was let go. Now Jalen Waddle was traded. What are the goals for this team? I assume they're going to draft a receiver in the first round.
I would think.
Possibly Lemon or Tate, one of those
Right.
guys. But in the end, there's like nothing left in the cupboard. It's about as bare as can be. Every veteran on this team, for the most part, has been traded. Waddle's only 27.
Yeah.
If
he
I'm the
seems
Steelers,
older.
I go for him. He's the better player.
Yeah, but Pittman was the
What are
better
you going to
deal.
get at pick 21?
Did you hear that? Everyone was lauding the GM because he got a better deal with Pittman. I would rather have the better receiver. That's Waddle.
It's
So,
certainly
I don't
not
know-
Michael Pittman.
I don't know why the fans are enamored with the better deal. It's not my money. It's not my contract. I want the better player, and Waddle is better than Pittman. Pittman's a fine receiver, but he's not Waddle. So good for Denver. Yeah, Miami, they're completely reloading. I like Malik Willis a lot. I think you can win games with him. I'd be fine if he were with the Steelers, but no, they're pining their hopes on Aaron, and why wouldn't you?
Well, if I'm the Steelers,
so young.
and I'm going to go all in with Watt and Hayward and Queen and Highsmith and
Right.
Metcalf, I'm going to get the best possible players I can get
Right.
because those guys aren't going to be around, or at least in their prime, for much longer. So if you're going to try to win, you got to win right now. I agree. I'd have got Waddle over Pittman,
Right.
Because he's by far and away the much better option at receiver.
He is, and that's right. You need personnel. I mean, it's one thing to have, an offensive-minded coach and a veteran quarterback who knows what he's doing, obviously. If you don't have the personnel that are going to make special things happen on the field when they get the ball, it's not going to matter. So that's
And
what they've been
for-
lacking, severely lacking.
Rico Dowdle, for that matter. I mean, he's
Yeah.
fun and explosive.
Yeah.
If you really think you're going to win, go get Kenneth Walker.
Exactly.
Go get the best you can. You got money,
Yeah.
and you'll have it because you have no young talent.
Kansas
you got to
City
worry
got
about
him.
saving it
A
for.
team that's won, 3 Super Bowls since the Steelers last won a playoff game. They're not back on their,
Yeah, but their defenses.
hind
I mean, they
legs.
lost McDuffie. They
Oh, I
lost
know.
Chanel.
They're old.
They lost.
Kelsey's
who's
back.
the
I mean, they're an
safety?
old
Cook.
team.
They've
Yeah.
lost a lot of players on that defense.
Defense is decimated.
So,
Yeah, so it's
they
gonna be
better
a lot
score
for
a ton of
Spagnuolo.
points because they're
They
going to give
better.
up a bunch.
Right.
That's the reality in the end. All right, we're going to take a break. Before we do, let's check in right now. 61-60 with 5:47 left. Siena barely holding on to a 1-point lead over Duke. Vanderbilt 48-44 over McNeese. Michigan State blowing out North Dakota State. That's early, 21-10. And 15-4 Arkansas over Hawaii. The winner of that game gets High Point, so I'm sure they're super excited for that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I don't know, we'll talk about something. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's a celebration at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Stop by their home center on Route 51 in Bell Vernon between noon and 4 on Saturday, March 21st, as they celebrate 70 years of building amazing homes. Tour the incredible models on site, featuring spacious kitchens, spa-style bathrooms, and modern appliances. Homes designed with everything you've been looking for. While you're there, be sure to say hi to the WMBS broadcast team, who's going to be there from noon to 2 doing a live show and spinning the station's fabulous prize wheel for your chance to win great prizes. And don't forget to ask about Clayton Homes' tax return special, which is running now through the end of April. Find your dream home this Saturday from noon to 4 at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon, located at 4500 Route 51. For more information, visit ClaytonHomesBellVernon.com or call 724-930-2315. You excited for Fish Fry Fridays, but not necessarily sure where you want to go? Then may we suggest the Butte House of Fish at the West Licensing Fire Department on Butte Road in West Licensing. Fish fries are held every Friday through Good Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Dine in or takeout. They offer 4 meal options and various traditional sides, including haluski and pierogies. Enjoy a great meal and then check out their Chinese auction, Progressive 50-50, and other raffles and games. See you Friday at the West Leicester Ring VFD.
Zen's Antiques and Home Decor, part of the Cinder Shack family of vendors, where you can find both antique and new furniture, collectibles, housewares, gift items, including jewelry and candles, and so much more. Follow Zen's Antiques and Home Decor on Facebook for new items and information on upcoming events. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor in Building 2 at 3391 National Pike in Farmington. Zen's Antiques and Home Decor.
That sneeze was in a different zip code, and I still felt the germs.
Relax, Randy. I went to Montgomery Medical. I'm fully shielded.
Like a flu shot?
Flu, COVID, the works. If you haven't caught up on your shots yet, they'll get you sorted in minutes. It's basically a suit of armor, but with less clanking. Then do the double shot. After Montgomery Medical, head over to Renew You Medispa. I got their immunity IV drip.
A Medispa?
You relax, you hydrate, and you give your immune system a VIP upgrade.
Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine.
Ready to score big on your next home? Well, great news. Huge savings are waiting for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. From open floor plans perfect for game day parties to energy efficient homes that will help you save money all season long, these homes are built to deliver. Don't wait on the sidelines. Make the winning play today and find the home that fits your family and lifestyle. Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon at 4500 Route 51.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
WMBS.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. If you're just tuning in, we're following this huge developing story that is coming to us from the NCAA tournament. Yes, that's right. March Madness in the East region. By the way, the East region is absolutely stacked. I don't know if the teams are that good, but they're all like big-time names with big-time coaches. They've got them all in one place. Right now, number 1 Duke is ahead of Siena by 2 points, 63-61. Siena, a number 16 seed. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. Luckily, Brian Morozek has sent me the updated information on this. There are 2 different times in the history of this tournament that a number 16 seed has upset a number 1 seed in the first round. The first was in 2018 when UMBC, I don't even know what that is, upset Virginia, although I do remember it happening. Yeah, that was it was the first time it ever happened since they went to 64 teams, right. And people were going absolute insane over this.
University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Give them their love.
Okay. As Nick said, whatever he said, I wasn't listening. The other in 2023, Fairleigh Dickinson upset Purdue.
Right.
I don't know what the score was, but that was the second time it happened. But it was also something significant because Fairleigh Dickinson was forced to play in that first 4 on a Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever, and ended up being the first 16 seed to do that after having to play a game prior to playing Purdue. So, yeah, big stuff right there. Potentially could be happening again today. It just makes you wonder, though, Nick, and we talked a little bit about this off air. So, a lot of people have picked Duke to win this tournament. I have 4 brackets. I have Duke on one of them. You start looking at a game like this against Siena, and you start to worry because this is kind of Duke's track record. This happens early, just about every time.
Yeah.
And then we see them come out in the next round and get beat. This is Duke. So you have all this hope. They've blown people out all year. They're the ACC champions. A lot of people consider the ACC to be the best basketball conference out there. Also, the probably worst football conference, but best basketball conference out there. Duke runs the table, wins the regular season, wins the tournament, and then you come out against a team like this. I couldn't tell you, if you gave me 15 choices, I couldn't tell you what conference Siena's in, who have them kind of on the ropes here, We're down to 356. It's still 63-61. It's 2 points down to the very end of this game. It should not be this close.
No.
It should be 20-some points, Duke's up. But in the end, are they too reliant on maybe one player, maybe two players to do
Maybe.
everything? And you get yourself in trouble if the supporting cast can't step up.
Right, that's obviously an issue, and they're really good. They're the number 1 overall seed for a reason. They have an amazing pedigree, Duke. They've been winning year after year. Krzyzewski, not a Shire. But, right, Boozer is awesome, but if he's having an off night, you're going to struggle now. You shouldn't be trying to fend off Siena as the number 1 overall seed, but this is just what the TV networks and the NCAA want, Dave. They want Duke to win by 1. They want the game to be really close, but they're dreading a Siena upset. They want Duke in the next round because Duke TCU has a better ring to it than Siena TCU. I don't think I'd watch that as much as I love Jamie Dixon at TCU. But, yeah, I mean, they want every game to be really close, but they want a few upsets. They want a 12 to beat a 5. They don't want Duke out on day 1. That's the last thing they want. So they want to avoid upsets. As much as they say this tournament's about upsets, they want favorites in the next rounds. They just do.
Why do people watch this tournament?
Well, for upsets, for
Well,
buzzer beaters, they're gambling on it.
Because they bet on it.
Right.
And when do they stop watching this tournament?
When their brackets are busted, per se.
So if Duke goes out in the first round
brackets are
and
busted.
say 65% of the people have Duke winning the whole thing,
That's a good number, maybe more. Yeah.
65% of the people are going to stop watching.
That's a good
because
point.
now they've got no chance to win.
Right. You'd like to think it's for the pageantry and for the bands and for the buzzer beaters. It's for gambling.
It's for the
That's
money.
why people watch the NFL as much as they do.
It's all about the money. And
You're right.
that's it. And
You're
that's
right.
why I think they are so fearful of a team like Duke getting upset in the first round.
Right.
Because, I mean, when it was Purdue, I had Purdue losing, I think, in the second round that year. I didn't have them losing in the first
Yeah, and they're
round.
just not Duke or even
Right.
Virginia. They don't have
But
that.
you got a team like this, let's say 75% of the people picking these brackets have them going all the way.
Oh.
They will stop watching this tournament
right.
if they don't think they can win. Because chances are they haven't watched a basketball game all year prior to this tournament. Think about how many people are going to be glued to the TV for 2 straight days that haven't watched one NCAA game all year long.
Oh, many millions. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
Because
And they
they're
will stop
sitting there with
watching.
their brackets
Yeah.
and their little pen and pencil, and they're marking everything as it happens.
Taking notes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So they're hoping Duke. They want it to be close. They want people watching all day, but they want Duke to win. Maybe if they lose in the next round, maybe. But come on, they don't want Siena in the Saturday afternoon, showcase second round game. So yeah, I mean you're fine. Yeah, 12 beating a 5 and 11 beating a 6. That's nice. They want all 4 number 1s to come out of the first weekend. Come on.
You don't think people will flock to watch Siena versus TCU?
Oh, I'll be all over that. Jamie Dixon.
That's must-see
Against
TV
Siena.
right there.
Against Crayola. No offense to Siena. I'm sure it's a fine institution of higher learning.
So what do you have going on in your bracket?
Oh, well, it's never great, Dave. It's never great. But
Who do you have winning it all?
Duke. I
Okay.
fell into that, that trap. But yeah, I have a few. I have Iowa State coming out of one of the brackets, so I don't have all number 1s in the Final Four. But yeah, I think Duke was the best team I saw. I saw them. They had to fend off Virginia, though, in the ACC title game. So there's no really dominant team like the years Florida went back-to-back. Florida has a chance of going back-to-back this time. But, UConn had some really dominant teams. The Duke teams of, 25, 30 years ago, they had NBA guys all over. And we don't have a team like that. I think Duke is the best team, even though they're not proving it right now. I think Duke will win the whole thing. I really do, after surviving the scare.
It's hard to pick these things, especially like the winner, because you've got to be right. You can't go way off base with that. And I
Right.
think even when I do pick these things and I do go way off base, like taking a high point, that's easy, but I don't ever pick them to go further than the second round. I think, if somebody does that, more power to them, because if you lose on that, 90-some% of the bracket has just passed you up.
Yes, most
at that
likely.
point.
This tournament, we like to romanticize it. It's all about double-digit seeds. It's really not. If you're a 1 through a 5, you're going to win this thing. Every now and then, a double-digit seed makes the Final Four, a George Mason, a Butler, a VCU. But the cute stories really end after the first weekend. High Point, most likely, only has 1 win in them. The fact they won 1 game at all is a miracle for them. Cal Baptist, for example, I saw them the other night against Utah Valley. If they somehow beat Kansas, again, the networks would hate it, but that's probably the only win they have in them. These little engines that could, they usually don't go all the way. They win 1 game.
And that's it. And I think they take that and they put so much effort into that 1 game that they're drained when they get to the next game anyways.
Right.
I did 4 of these brackets over
different
the
picks.
course-
You
with
don't-
different. So I picked a different team to win each one.
I don't like that. No, I don't-
No,
don't
well,
go on.
but that, I figured, when I look at the teams that are out there, and Duke was one, and Arizona was one.
Yeah.
I think just looking at how they rolled through, they almost have to be. You have to give them consideration. I took another one, Florida,
Yeah.
which I
They're good.
wasn't sold on 100%, but I did. And then I took a 2 in Iowa State for
Same.
my fourth one. When I look around, like there are teams that I like. Michigan State, it's almost hard to pick against Michigan State, but I couldn't put them in the championship game. Illinois is another one.
Yeah.
Illinois has 5 guys that average double-digit points.
St. John's, I thought was really
St.
great.
John's is
Tino,
another
he's
team
been
I've-
coaching forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are teams that I like. There are teams that, maybe I threw in there a little further than I should have. A team like Houston, I
Yeah.
think, is another team. Like
Samson.
Houston and Illinois are in that same bracket, so that makes it tricky. But I think looking at Kelvin Sampson and what he brings to the table, there are definitely teams, even in the 3s and the 4s, that you take a look at. A team like Nebraska that rolled earlier today, that you say, hey, these are teams maybe that can do something. Arkansas and Calipari, you can't ignore them, even though they're a 4. So I think that taking a look, it's really up for grabs. And, Duke's trying to pull away here a little bit. They're up 6 now with 1:30, so they should be safe in pulling this off. But in the end, you can't forget it. You can't unsee it.
Right.
And you start looking ahead to what comes next. I mean, okay, it's TCU, but then you start getting further into this East bracket. This is where you start getting into those big-name teams like a St. John's, a Kansas. I mean, those two could potentially find a matchup against themselves. And you end up further down with UConn and Michigan State. Can Duke run this table looking at how difficult? Like, this should have been a cruising game for the
Right.
first one.
It's
but it
alarming.
wasn't.
You can't unsee it. Like Arch Manning's first game. He was really good the rest of the season, but yeah, I saw that first game when he was against the Buckeyes, and I can't shake that. This could hang over Duke, but the thing is, all you have to do, they could win every game in theory by 1 point and still advance each round. So it's not about style points right now. So yeah, I mean, they should have been able to blow out a Siena, but maybe it's good for them down the line if they had to struggle today. Who knows?
Well, based on what I'm looking at right now, it's 67-61 Duke with about 1:30 left. When I get back here after break, I'll let you know what the final is. I'm sure we all pretty much have figured it out. Vanderbilt up 6 right now over McNeese, 60-54, 7:55 left. Michigan State still rolling. They're up 12 over North Dakota State. That's 7:20. That's 6:14 left in the first half, so that's still early. And Arkansas is up 13, 36-23 over Hawaii. 7:13 left in the first half. Those are the last games that will be played for the first half of today. Then 6:50 we'll start the next round. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Also on the second hour, Penguins. We'll talk a little bit about where they are right now. Heartbreak loss last night, 6-5, in Sidney Crosby's return, but they did get that loser point. We'll talk about the standings and what Columbus has done over the last couple of weeks. And of course, the Islanders, you can't ignore them, basically trying to hold on to one of those top 3 spots in the Metro. We'll look at the Pirates and where they are. Only a week left of spring training, right? They're next week, or do they start the regular season next? I don't know, whenever. But we'll talk a little bit about that. And Connor Griffin's still there. How long will that last? And, of course, anything else major that takes place between now and the end of the show. So we're going to take our break at the top of the hour. Don't go anywhere. Hour 2 of The Sports Voice is coming up.
Feeling lucky? Your next big jackpot is waiting for you. Visit the casino at Nemacolin in Farmington, PA for the ultimate casino experience featuring the hottest table games, daily promotions, big-time giveaways, and an exciting variety of premium slots. And after, celebrate your big win with a juicy burger at the Royale while you watch the big game. Hotel packages available. Visit CasinoNemacolin.com for more information. The Casino at Nemacolin. Game on. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by JTV.com.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. The Iran war is escalating sharply after an Israeli strike on Iran's vast South Pars natural gas field. Iran is threatening zero restraint. President Trump is asked about putting U.S. troops on the ground.
The president was asked about sending U.S. troops.
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you. but I'm not putting troops.
Trump was speaking in the Oval Office as he met with Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. He praised Japan's first ever female prime minister, saying he's received assurances of support in the U.S.-led war against Iran.
They are really stepping up to the plate.
Unlike NATO, he said, the president did not specify how Japan is stepping up to the plate. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Authorities in Spain have found the body of a missing Illinois college student. CBS's Allison Keyes reports.
Police say they have found the body of 20-year-old James Jimmy Gracie in the water off of a Barcelona beach. He was vacationing in Spain and vanished 2 days ago. Gracie was a college student at the University of Alabama and never returned to the room he was renting with friends.
And also, we have that the unpaid TSA officers are still calling out sick during the standoff on Capitol Hill over Homeland Security funding, which has led to the partial government shutdown. The nationwide call-out rate was higher yesterday than it was on Tuesday, but not as high as Monday's number of just over 10%. TSA officer Sherrod Green works at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport.
Lawmakers, listen, we're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're not independents. We're just people that come to work every day to do our job. And all we expect you guys to do is do your job.
A heat wave lingers in parts of California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, setting some records for this man in Santa Maria, California.
A hat, long pants, long sleeves, sunblock is huge. But the main thing for me is to cover up.
The Supreme Court honors the late Justice Sandra Day O'Connor at a meeting of the Supreme Court's bar. O'Connor was the first woman on the bench appointed by President Ronald Reagan and confirmed unanimously in 1981. Duke Law professor Lisa Kern-Griffin is a former high court clerk.
I think Justice O'Connor's defining virtue was her generosity. She was very quick to give other people both the credit and the benefit of the doubt.
Justice O'Connor retired in 2006 and died in 2023. Just days before the Sunday premiere, ABC has canceled its already filmed season of The Bachelorette starring Taylor Frankie Paul due to an alleged incident of domestic abuse involving her ex-boyfriend. This is CBS News.
Looking for spring jewelry looks? Find them at Jewelry Television. New customers get $20 off purchases of $99 or more at jtv.com.
Take the fact book.
Caring for an aging parent or a loved one with medical needs? FACT, Fayette Area Coordinated Transportation, can help. Seniors 65 and older ride free on our fixed routes. People with disabilities get discounted shared rides. And if your loved one has medical assistance, their trips to doctors or treatment are covered under the shared ride program. Give them safe, reliable independence and yourself peace of mind. Call 724-628-RIDE or visit factbus.com. FACT, your community, your connection.
You may have noticed a new internet company knocking at your door with claims like, "I'm not here to sell you anything," or "I wouldn't lie to you." The truth is, Armstrong has played an important role in your community for decades, and we're not going anywhere. That new internet provider will probably change their name, get bought out by another company, or fold completely. Armstrong, the internet you count on, the people you trust. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com today, or anytime in the future.
A month after the deadly shooting at a high school hockey game in Rhode Island, the team whose family members were killed has won the state championship. CBS's Michael Wallace.
Blackstone Valley senior Colin Dorgan lost his mother, brother, and grandfather in the shooting. Last night, he scored with 30 seconds left in regulation to send the game to overtime. Blackstone Valley won the championship in quadruple OT. Dorgan has no doubt his lost family members lifted the team.
I truly felt it in my heart and my soul that they're still with me.
Blackstone Valley coach Chris Labrizzi.
We won this tournament because of love.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Stocks paired their losses on Wall Street as an early spike in crude oil prices eased later in the day. Dow closed down 204 points. The Nasdaq fell 62. If oil prices stay high, the worry is that they could cause inflation to rip higher around the world. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is being brought to you by Ultimate Structures, offering customized sheds, cabins, and metal buildings. Ultimate Structures is ready to design what you desire. Call today, 724-415-0020.
And good afternoon, 5:05 on this Thursday, 59 degrees. More of the Sports Voice with Dave Dunaway in a bit. Justin Duke has fended off Siena, so no major upset there for you March Madness fans. Duke with the win. They advanced to play TCU on Saturday in the second round. But much more in sports later on. And the Weather Watch. Good afternoon. I'm Nick Barczyk. In Fayette County, a Laurel Highlands School District teacher has been charged with multiple counts related to illegal sexual contact with a student. Authorities report that 50-year-old Martin Gaddy was charged today, Thursday, with attempted institutional sexual assault, sexual conduct with a minor, a student, unlawful contact with minors, and corruption of minors, and that was committed against a student at the high school building. When the report was made, the school district administration immediately placed Mr. Gaddy on leave and removed him from his job. The charges date back to the incidents that occurred in January and reported to state police this month. Gaddy is now awaiting a preliminary hearing in Fayette County Court. The district attorney in Fayette, Mike Auble, said this is still an active investigation, and if anyone has additional information, they should contact Pennsylvania State Police. Gaddy served previously as a city councilman in the city of Uniontown. A release from Fayette, the DA's office, the Fayette DA's office, says the criminal complaint and a list of the charges. That is all official and up on our WMBS Facebook. And the number of first-time filings for unemployment are dropping around Pennsylvania. The U.S. Labor Department says for the week ending March 14th, there were over 9,000 first-time filings in the state. That's more than 1,500 less than the week before. Nationally, the number of initial filings dropped compared to the week before. The state lawmaker is wanting to introduce a bill that would prohibit smoke shops near schools. Pennsylvania State Representative Ben Waxman recently introduced legislation that restricts new smoke shops from opening within 500 feet of a kindergarten through high schools, daycares, and other youth-focused spaces. He cited a similar zoning rule in the city of Philadelphia, saying that it helped reduce the number of tobacco retailers by 25%. Waxman said the proposal is designed to build on that motto and keep smoke shops away from places where children learn and play. The bill was introduced in the State House and referred to the Finance Committee yesterday. Price of gas is climbing both nationally and regionally.
The national average for a gallon of regular jumped overnight to $3.88, according to AAA. That's up 4 cents from Wednesday. In California, where prices are the highest in the country, drivers are now paying $5.61 a gallon on average. Two other states, Washington and Hawaii, are also now seeing averages soar past the $5 mark. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
More next on WMBS.
Is that a bird I hear? I think it's spring. We have to get the junk out of the garage. I need a shed, but a cool shed, yeah. Maybe a she shed or an office shed.
I know just the place where you can find the perfect shed. It's Ultimate Structures on Route 51 in Perry Township.
Well, that's good because I need to see them for myself.
See large and small sheds, office sheds, animal shelters, recreational cabins, garages. It's unbelievable. Right in Bell Vernon. Visit the Mega Lot at Ultimate Structures. Order right now and you'll get our 12% spring discount on all new shed orders.
I'm Googling Ultimate Structures Bell Vernon. Okay, they're just outside Perryopolis. There's a website and a Facebook page, plus that 12% discount right now.
Ultimate Structures is the only independent dealer representing JDM Structures in Pennsylvania. Stop in. We design what you desire.
And in sports, we have March Madness for you. The first round in just a bit. Duke avoiding an upset after they were down double digits at halftime. They beat Siena. Much more with March Madness all night. It's starting at 6 from Westwood 1 on WMBS. And the Major League Baseball regular season gets underway a week from today. Pirates taking on the Mets next Thursday afternoon on WMBS. Now the weather watch for all of southwest Pennsylvania on this Thursday. Nice day, sunny and 60. Overnight low at 43 up to 62 on Friday with a chance of rain. Overnight low 44, 66 with sun. Saturday, 84 on Sunday with a chance of thunderstorms. Then all the way down to 48 Monday, Tuesday at 52, 53 Wednesday. Right now, clouds and sun, 60 degrees at 510 on a Thursday. And good afternoon from the Davis & Davis studios in Uniontown at WMBS. I'm Nick Barczyk. Jenny Montgomery Scott has your stock update. Then the second hour of the Sports Voice with Dave Dunaway leading right into first round March Madness action at 6. All on the way tonight on WMBS.
The local district and statewide news was brought to you by Ultimate Structures, just outside of Perryopolis on Route 51 southbound. Call them today at 724-415-0020 to find the shed, cabin, or metal building that meets your needs.
Good evening. This is Melody Cole of Janney Montgomery Scott here in Uniontown, bringing you today's closing stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 203 points closing at 46,021. The NASDAQ Composite was down 61 points, closing at 22,091. And the S&P 500 was down 17 points, closing at 6,608. Among companies of local interest, Apple closed at $248.91, down $1.03. Amazon, $208.77, down $1.10. Cisco, $78.50, up 90 cents. Boeing, $201.20, down $4.79. Caterpillar, $688.54, down $5.08. Disney, $99.21, down 21 cents. ExxonMobil, $158.10, up 51 cents. First Energy, $49.68, down 98 cents. Johnson & Johnson, $237.59, up 31 cents. Home Depot, $328.27, down $2.66. Intel, $46.19, up $1.16. McDonald's, $309.59, down $6.14. Meta Platforms, $606.84, down $8.84. PNC Financial Services, $202.08, up 91 cents. Raytheon Technologies, $200.69, down $3.87. Rockwell Automation, $355.83, up 72 cents. Tesla, $380.25, down $12.53. Verizon, $49.47, down 12 cents. And Walmart, $121.08, down 90 cents. Recapping, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 203 points, closing at 46,021. The NASDAQ Composite was down 61 points, closing at 22,091. And the S&P 500 was down 17 points, closing at 6,608. From the Uniontown office of Janney Montgomery Scott, member FINRA, New York Stock Exchange, and SIPC, where we serve all of your investment needs, this is Melody Cole.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
Get ready, there's a new Italian favorite at Live Casino. Introducing Mangia, featuring DeLallo, opening April 9th. Part market, part cafe, Mangia offers delicious, quick-served, authentic Italian cuisine made with the finest ingredients. Featuring pasta, hoagies, pizza, salads, gelato, cocktails, espresso, and a retail shop featuring DeLallo brand favorites. Mangia, featuring DeLallo, opening April 9th at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Looking for a fireplace? Koval Building Supply at 40 Monroe Avenue in Uniontown is more than your plumbing supply store. We specialize in fireplaces of all fuel types, such as gas, wood, pellet, and electric. We're now featuring Harmon pellet stoves from Forge and Flame, perfect for keeping your family warm and cozy. Call Koval today at 724-437-8824 or visit kovalsupply.com to start planning for the winter season. Koval Building Supply, everything you need to make your house feel like home.
There's only one best lunch spot in Uniontown. Titlo Tavern and Grill on West Main Street, serving 8-ounce Reubens, foot-long cheesesteaks and subs, half-pound handmade burgers, plus pizza, calzones, strombolis, pepperoni rolls, and fresh salads like Greek, antipasto, salmon, steak, and chicken. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 9, Friday till 10, Saturday 2 to 10. Dinner and happy hour specials nightly, and private parties are welcome. Call 724-437-6749. Titlo Tavern and Grill.
Route 21 Furniture, take the road to your perfect home.
Sleep well tonight. Try out a new mattress from Route 21 Furniture with a large selection of mattresses, all sizes and comfort levels, with great prices, free local delivery and setup, and financing options. Route 21 Furniture. Open weekdays 9 to 5, Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday noon to 4. 724-737-2222 or Route21Furniture.com.
Route 21 Furniture. Take the road to your perfect home.
Your local station, 590 WMBS.
I hear voices in my head.
Welcome to part 2 of the Sports Voice. Ahead on this hour, it's a hockey. Actually, it isn't. The Pittsburgh Penguins coming off a pretty disappointing loss last night to the Carolina Hurricanes. They are not in action again until Saturday. That's huge based on how the Olympics has smashed the schedule together, front end and back end of it. The fact that you get 2 days off in a row, that's pretty impressive. But the Penguins will be in action against a very disappointing Winnipeg Jets team, a team that most thought would be a whole lot better at the beginning of the year. So hopefully they can get their footing back underneath of them after the... It's not a disaster. It's just, I think it's disappointment. I think the Penguins were coming in riding high, Crosby back for the first time in weeks, and you just think, or at least you hope, that maybe there's a chance they can knock off the right now top seed in the Metro, the Carolina Hurricanes, and they fight back. It looks like Carolina has the game in hand. Lead change, keeps going back and forth. In the end, the Pittsburgh Penguins fall in overtime. That's not a shocker or a surprise. You can only imagine how many times I've said that on here this season. But the Penguins fall in overtime 6-5, and we'll break that game down and just really look at the chances that they have moving forward. There are still good teams left on this schedule. There are winnable games left on this schedule. So in the end, it all comes down to what the Penguins are going to be able to put together. And if they do make it into the playoffs, what can they do there with the talent that they have? I think there are really good supporting characters. It's bigger than just the big stars on this team. But in the end, I do think they need to upgrade the goaltending a little bit. I keep saying who it needs to be. You don't even have to go out and get them. They're there. Just call them up from Wilkes. But in the end, I think if the Penguins do fall short, it's probably going to be for that reason. We've also not seen Blake Lizotte for the last couple of games. From what I understand, he's in a cast. So we'll wait and see if the Penguins reveal any more information there. But Soderblom, the trade deadline acquisition from Detroit, he's been in and he's played well. I think anybody that's been put into this lineup for the most part has stepped up. If your first name's not Kevin and your last name's not Hayes, you've probably performed pretty well for the Penguins this year. So we'll take a look at what's there and what the chances are as we're getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season. It's a dogfight to get in the top 3 in the Metro, and you might have to, based on what's going on in the Atlantic, to secure a playoff spot in the National Hockey League. We've also got to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. As Nick said before we went off the air, a week from today is opening day. They're playing the Mets, and they've got a huge decision to make over the weekend with Connor Griffin. Do you keep him around at 19? He would be the first teenager to make an opening day Major League Baseball roster since Ken Griffey Jr. Do you keep him around and obviously start the clock ticking, because we know that's what Bob Nutting's more concerned about than anything else, is how much money can be saved in the long run. There have been rumors of a potential multi-year deal with Griffin, but from what I understand, both sides haven't even talked, let alone that that's something that's being considered. So I think they're unfounded rumors more so than anything else. But if you bring him up at 19, that means the clock ticks until he's 26, which means there's no chance you're going to re-sign him, because if you don't do it prior to, that's the height of someone's career. That's their prime. I can only imagine the big money going to get tossed around by the big teams if that is the case. So, just taking a look into the future, if the Pirates want to keep this guy around, they better do it now. And, oh, by the way, their other star that's going to be walking much sooner than expected, Paul Skeens, was a star, I guess, on a bigger stage. This World Baseball Classic, which I've nicknamed the Fake Olympics. But Skeens pitched for Team USA. They made it to the finals. They came up short. He did not pitch there. But in the end, when you look at it, you finally get him highlighted, and I think he liked it. And I think that knowing that if he would somehow be forced to stick with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he'll never be on that big stage. The best you can hope for is him getting to start the All-Star game again, which he's been there, done that twice in his 2-year career. So in the end, is it time for him to move on in his eyes? I can't imagine the Pirates will match anything getting thrown out there. But if we do have a strike and if we do get a salary cap, that changes the game a little bit. Can the Pirates theoretically offer more than other teams, and does that keep Paul Skeens around, or would he even consider taking less to go to that bigger stage? Who knows what the end result is going to be there. But just once again, something to talk about as we are on the doorstep of the beginning of Major League Baseball's 2026 season. Some news from this March Madness college basketball tournament. We talked about the madness. The madness almost consumed Duke. Duke ends up winning by 6 against number 16 Siena. By the way, coached by Jerry McNamara, the former Syracuse player. If you ever get a trivia question, who played in college sports longer than Kenny Pickett, Jerry McNamara is probably the answer. I think he's the only one that has been around longer than Pickett. Pickett played about 8 or 9 years. I think McNamara was 12 years with Syracuse. Seemed like he was there forever. But congratulations to him and Siena. They made it interesting down to the very end against a team that probably is projected by 3/4 of the people picking to win this tournament. So Duke does survive, everyone. They win 71-65 over number 16 seed Siena. Just to recap some of our earlier games, TCU, a 9-8 upset win over Ohio State. Nebraska blows out Troy, the most lopsided victory of everyone so far, 76-47. Louisville, an 83-79 win over South Florida. And I guess the biggest upset we've seen thus far, there's your 12 over your 5, everyone, as High Point takes care of Wisconsin. Games that are still being played, looks like at least in the early games, there's only going to be one 12 winner. Vanderbilt up 8, 76-68 with only 21 seconds left against number 5 McNeese. Now it's 77-68, so you can pretty much wrap that one up. Michigan State at halftime up 20, 45-25 over number 13 North Dakota State. Number 14 North Dakota State. Michigan State's a 3. And number 4 Arkansas, 54-39 at halftime over number 13 Hawaii. That'll wrap up the first half of the first day. Everything else gets started at 6:50. North Carolina VCU. That's a 6 versus an 11. We also get to see number 1 Michigan in action tonight. They are taking on number 16 Howard. Number 6 BYU with potentially the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. I'll let Nick tell you who that is because I don't know his name. Later on when we do the NBA roundup, they've got Texas. You've got St. Mary's, a number 7. There's a smaller school but a familiar name in this tournament. They've got Texas A&M. One of my favorites to go far in this thing, number 3 Illinois, taking on number 14 Pennsylvania. Boy, who'd have thought that'd be the team representing this state in the NCAA tournament. UPenn, the only one in there. Penn State and Pitt, nowhere to be found. Number 8 Georgia against number 9 St. Louis. St. Louis of the ACC. And Gonzaga, a number 3 seed against Kennesaw State, a number 14 seed. And we wrap everything up at 10:10 tonight with number 2 Houston against number 15 Idaho. So there's your first half of the bracket. 32 will be decided when it's all said and done. These are your first 16. The other 16 games will be held tomorrow. So always exciting for most people. The only couple of days they watch the NCAA basketball games. So in the end, you're going to see I'm sure a lot more excitement. Friday's always the day, isn't it, Nick? Friday's usually the big upset day. Like somebody that people have going to the Elite Eight or the Final Four. Somebody usually gets knocked off on a Friday.
Have they analyzed that? There's more upsets on Friday than Thursday?
I don't know, because I think definitely one of those number ones. I can't remember which one it was. That happened on a Thursday, because I can remember being here with all that happening.
I think there's a healthy mix on both days of upsets. And, yeah, again, I mean, it's very rare a double-digit seed makes it all the way and wins the whole thing. So we like to romanticize it, but usually the best teams win out. Duke did struggle today, though, but they won. Now they get Coach Jamie Dixon and the Horned Frogs of TCU.
Yeah, a lot of ties to Pitt and this thing, but no Pitt.
Right.
Same thing with Penn. Oh, there aren't any really ties to Penn State, but no
No.
Penn State here either. By the way, speaking of Pitt basketball, how excited are you that Jeff Capel got re-upped again?
Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be great. Hey, they made the ACC tournament. What else do you want?
I guess.
They won
yeah.
a game there.
Yeah. I mean, and they use that NIL and that transfer portal better than anyone, because I'm
Right.
going to tell you, you look at teams and you say, okay, well, they have an advantage here and they have an advantage there. I mean, when you look at guys that are of the age that in most other sports they'd be retired, I mean, Pitt finds every single one of them in this transfer portal. So, I mean, the grad students, the 8th and 9th year seniors, I mean, Pitt has excelled. They get the best of the elderly NCAA, because nobody else that old is going to schools like what's going to Pitt right now. So congratulations for them. Capel's figured out someone he could get in a transfer portal with his limited NIL funding. It's old basketball players. So it's perfect, because Pittsburgh has old football players. Technically, they have old hockey players too. And they have, old baseball players, because the guys that were brought in through free agency for the Pirates, they're all old. So, in the end, Pittsburgh's figured out how to do it. We've got the oldest players of any city. And most of the time people will say, well, veterans transfer into winning, but yet they don't win anything anywhere. So in the end, hey, Pitt, Capel, congratulations. Maybe Capel can suit up next year. He might be younger than some of the players he recruits.
That'd be great.
Maybe he could play, because he does such a great job recruiting. Do you think he still tells people he used to be an assistant at Duke?
Oh, absolutely.
Does that help him
That's
get
the
people to
first
come to
thing he
Pitt?
says. Can't hurt.
Can't hurt.
He
I
thought he
guess.
was getting that Duke job, too. He really did.
He really did.
But
Boy,
nope.
good thing for Duke he didn't, because, when he was at Oklahoma, he barely could get Blake Griffin. And then everywhere he's been since, it's been, I used to be an assistant at Duke. I used to play at Duke. I
Right.
did this at Duke, did that at Duke.
He would have blown CN out today.
Well, he certainly
Would not
wasn't
have
the
been
head
a struggle.
coach at Duke. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I'm sure. They wouldn't have been a number one seed if Capel was the head coach. I'm sure a lot of that talent would go elsewhere. if
Boozer
that
would
was
have
the
gone
case.
elsewhere.
I would assume.
Even though his dad was there. Yeah, we'll see.
Who
Well,
knows?
we'll never know.
But anyways, so to shift gears just a little bit, I do want to talk hockey, because the Penguins, they're making the most noise of any Pittsburgh team that's out and about, and there is really good potential that we're going to see them in the playoffs. Now, it's not a guarantee. Nothing's been sewn up at this point, and that's the NHL. It's a dogfight, and you look at the playoffs, and we've talked time and time again, winning the Stanley Cup is probably the hardest thing to win in any sport. That tournament is grueling and gruesome sometimes. But what people don't recognize is, for the most part, the second half of March and whatever you have in April before you get to this playoff system, these games are all like playoff games too. That's why when you look at a team like Florida, who's won back-to-back cups, it's almost unheard of, because of the wear and tear that it takes just on your body alone. It's the most physical sport out there. You look at the skating, you can only have guys out there maybe max 2 minutes because of how much it takes out of you. And you look at the long season, it'll be June until we crown a Stanley Cup champion. You look at Tampa winning 2 in a row, being there 3 in a row, same thing with Florida. That's an accomplishment in itself, to be able to say that you can do that. So these games that we're seeing right now, like that game last night against Carolina, that looked just like a playoff game.
Yeah.
It came down to the wire. Look at the energy that it took just to hang in there. You don't really see a lot of blowouts down the stretch, especially by these teams that are fighting to get into the postseason. Carolina's pulled away significantly, I think. They have 92 points. The Penguins are in second place with 84. You've got the Islanders in third with 83, and then Columbus right there with 81. And don't sleep on, I guess maybe you can. Washington's got 76. They're tied with Philly.
Sleep on them.
Sleep on them. They're not going to make any noise here. So these are the teams that you're looking at as far as the competition. When I look at the Penguins and I look at what they did last night, there were times early in that game where I thought they don't have a chance. But then they find a way to come back, usually in the third period. Crosby, Rust, Kindle, Carlson had 2 goals. I mean, these are the stars that have stepped up for the Penguins during this stretch. They get to overtime. And then when they get there, it all sort of falls apart. I know a lot of talk about Stuart Skinner, and it's been a mixed bag of what they've said about him last night. I mean, there were saves that he made that were absolutely incredible. I look at a couple. There are a couple that stick in my head that I'm thinking to myself, well, these are maybe some of the best saves I've ever seen in all the years I watched hockey. But then when it's all over, he still gave up 6 goals. And it's hard to ignore. You can't pretend like that didn't happen. For as brilliant as he looked, there were still 6 goals scored against him. And I think Penguin fans ignored that for a decade with a goaltender that was in net with much better teams in front of him, and the team only won 1 Stanley Cup with this guy at the helm because there were times in games he would look brilliant and he would still give up more goals than what his team could score. And in the end, that's what we saw out of Stuart Skinner, and that's what we've seen out of Stuart Skinner. There's a reason why he's no longer with Edmonton, a team that most years is the odds-on favorite to be the Stanley Cup champion, but in the end just become the odds-on favorites to disappoint you when it's all said and done with their stat collector captain, Connor McDavid, who probably won't ever win anything in his NHL tenure. But Skinner was the goaltender there for a while. It just didn't work out. They took Jari instead. That should tell you all you need to know. And you're looking at Skinner as the veteran here because Shelovs is the rookie, and Shelovs also is horrendous in shootouts, which should not matter in the playoffs. But they're not in the playoffs yet. They've got to get to the playoffs. Every point is super important. They had that game in a position where they could win it last night, and they end up only walking away with a loser point. You can't just keep sacrificing these points. Columbus won last night. I mean, you've got teams that are behind you that are equally as hot. And to me, if you're giving up 6 goals in a game, you should not be looked at as the guy that this team is going to rely on. I don't care who you played. You should not be looked at as the reliant source to be the reason why a team wins in the playoffs. Murashov is better. I don't care what anyone says. You could tell he's a rookie, this, that, whatever else. He's the better goaltender. He's the more pedigreed goaltender. He's not only better than Skinner, he's better than Shelovs too. And if you really are serious about making a run, this is the guy that needs to be there. But he won't be because the mentality of this franchise is we love veterans. Thought it was maybe a Sullivan thing. Apparently it's bigger than that. They have called up rookies, but you see who's getting scratched now that everyone's back. Avery Hayes, Koivunen. So the rookies will always be the first ones that get scratched. And when you look at productivity, it's been a really nice supporting cast for this team. You look at a guy like Anthony Mantha, who was pretty much brought in off the scrap heap and is now going to earn multi-million-dollar contract in the offseason, maybe not with the Pittsburgh Penguins, but he's been a huge reason. Look at the great trade for Chinakhov and what he's done for this team and what he's done for Evgeny Malkin. I mean, Malkin looked absolutely brilliant against Colorado, maybe the best team in hockey. The Penguins go in there and win a game 7-2 in Colorado against probably the best offensive player in the league, Nathan MacKinnon, and the best defensive player in the league, Cale Makar. They beat Utah, which was, sort of, they were down 2-0. You start to wonder, is it done for the Penguins? And then they find a way to come back. And they've done that time and time again. This is a really good team. I don't think it's a great team. I don't know if it can be a great team, but I think it goes a long way to getting better if you put the best goaltender in your system out there, which they do not have right now. That, to me, I can't anticipate anything else changing. I think you look at the lines that were rolled out there last night. Those are the lines you're going to see for the duration of the season, outside of Soderblom probably getting replaced by Lizotte if he's able to come back. Everything else is standard quo. I think that you look at a guy like Letang and you say, I don't know if you want to put him out there. There's nobody else to put out there unless you want to call Owen Pickering up. You're not going to play Clifton. You're not going to play Girard. You're not going to put those guys up in the top 4. You're not going to put St. Ivany out there or Solanov. So you're kind of stuck with what you have at this point. I don't think you're stuck at goaltender, but I think they're just so stubborn. It's going to be these two. It's been these two for a while. We're going to do that rotation. This guy will play this day. This guy will play that day. That's what it's going to be. And in the end, I think that will be their undoing. I know everyone's hoping for this end of the dynasty, one last run for the big 3. But if Evgeny Malkin, from what I hear, wants a 2-year contract, we have no idea what Crosby's going to do. And if Letang even watches any video of himself playing, he should probably say, yeah, I need to retire. So who knows what comes after this year. But I'm a little disappointed, Nick. If this is going to be the final run for these 3, Murashov should be up there in net. And he isn't for whatever reason. And this just isn't working. The last thing they want to do is play around and end up missing the playoffs by a point because they can't win a game in regulation, and they're just taking these overtime losses time and time again, and it's going to end up costing them while these other teams are getting wins.
Yeah, those losses rack up, and you want to get as many points as you can. And, yeah, I mean, if you wanted one more Stanley Cup run out of this group, I don't think that's going to happen. But they should be able to make it, maybe win a series. And it's been fun, the resilience they had without Sid out there for a few weeks. They beat the best team in the league, drubbed them, the Avalanche, 7-2, and you lose in overtime last night, to Carolina. So, yeah, it's been an interesting stretch, certainly, and they played better than I thought they would.
You know, they have 16 overtime losses. I think they've won 3 games beyond regulation. I think they've won 2 in overtime and 1 in a shootout. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's where it is. You take even 2 or 3 of those and turn them into wins, then you've got separation between yourself and the Islanders. I don't even know. They might have lost an overtime game or 2 to the Islanders. So you might even have more separation than you think. You'd also be closer to Carolina, and you wouldn't be as concerned about Columbus sneaking in and taking that 3 spot and then have to start focusing on who could potentially be a wild card team in the Atlantic. I think that when you look at goaltending, whether it's not subbing Shilovs out in the shootout, whether it's allowing this rotation to take place, whether it's the stubbornness to keep Murashov and Wilkes, whatever it is, I think that there could have been a reversal of at least 3, maybe 4 or 5 games here, which could have you in a much better position right now in the standings than where you are. Because right now it's like biting nails trying to figure out whether or not you're going to make it. And when you look at how this team's played all year, you start thinking, why is that? Like, they've played better than this. Why are they in a position where they could still miss here moving closer and closer to the end of March? Winnipeg is a game they should win. Don't forget, though, Connor Hellebuck, one of the heroes of Team USA, is
right.
The goaltender there, and usually performs on his head against the Penguins. So we'll see what happens in that game. But you've gotten to a point now, because of these 16 losses in overtime or shootouts, you've got to win every game. I mean, you almost have to win every game that you play to ensure that you're going to get in, because the other teams are pretty much winning. Columbus was on a huge stretch that got them back into contention here. So, taking a look at where you are right now, you've got to figure it out. You've got to do what's best for the team, whether you're comfortable with it or not. And quite honestly, if it's calling up the goaltender from Wilkes and upsetting one of these 2 that have been there all year, then you just got to do it. Because in the end, what's more important? In the NHL, you've got to win a playoff. Like, it's all about the gate. It's all about that revenue, that extra revenue of getting a few more home games in the postseason. You've got to get there. But when you get there, how nice would it be to actually win a series and make a little more money just to solidify? I mean, we know these owners are having a hard time making payroll, the new ones anyways. So you want to put yourself into a position where you can actually net a little bit off of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, it's all about gate, you mentioned, and fan interest, and their attendance has not been great. But so you want to keep winning, obviously, but you want to look towards the future as well. So that's a hard balancing act for an organization. I'm not sure if they're doing it right, but they're trying, I think.
So here's a good question for you.
What's up?
Evgeny Malkin has hinted that he would like to play 2 more years.
No.
Now, you look at his performance this year, it's actually been
Pittsburgh.
pretty good. It's been better than what it normally is, so I'll give him that. But that's a risky move.
Right.
And think about where he is now, where he'll be in 2 years. And honestly, think about where Crosby will be in 2 years. Crosby's got 1 year left on this deal. Does he decide to re-up and stay in Pittsburgh? Does he retire? Does he want to go to another team that's going to be a little more competitive? And, maybe the Penguins are still competitive. But do you risk giving Malkin a 2-year deal? And I guess the bigger question, what do you give him? You can't give him more than what you're paying Crosby at this point. Do you take that chance? Do you take that risk with a guy like Malkin?
I wouldn't. I think you have to move on eventually. And if he wants to play somewhere else, great. But Pittsburgh, I think the thing has come and gone. The time has come and gone. And, I mean, you're done winning anything significant with them. I would move on from these older guys. But, I wouldn't take that risk. No, I wouldn't. I mean, he's been a good guy for the organization. But, his best years are behind him, unfortunately.
Crosby was back last night. Didn't look like he missed a beat. Justin Brazeau
had
returned.
A goal.
So right now, when you look at the Penguins, outside of Lizotte, a lot of question marks with that as far as whether or not there was a cast on his hand or not. Girard has been a little bit shaky with the injuries too. But for the most part, pretty much everybody's healthy with this team. So you start looking ahead, and you look at where this team can go. I had said if Crosby doesn't come back, they're done. But he's back and looks great. So realistically, can they make the playoffs? And if they do, can they actually make a little bit of noise there?
I think they could maybe win a series, but that's really beyond that is really far-fetched. And he is back. He looked great last night with a goal. It's like he does not age. But, yeah, can they win multiple playoff series with him? I doubt it. But can they get there? Can they make it interesting down the stretch? Certainly. And he gives you a better shot when he's in the lineup than when he does. And all the young guys love playing with him. And who wouldn't? So, yeah, I think they could definitely get there. Now, winning multiple rounds, that's a different question and a different story, I think.
Well, looking at where they are right now, 34, 18, and 16, 84 points. That's good enough for second in the Metro. The Islanders have 39 wins. And they're behind the Penguins by a point because they only have 5 overtime losses. So they have 24 losses. But when you look at this record, it's 34 and 34. I mean, that's the Penguins. Those 16 losses are losses. So it's 34 and 34. They just end up with those extra 16 points as a result. Good thing you get points for losing in overtime, or they would be 16 points less and nowhere near the playoffs as far as where they are right now. They'd be one of the worst teams in the league if they didn't have that. So keep that in mind as well. Are they as good as the points? Are they as good as the record? What can they actually do? Well, we know they get a couple of days off, which is probably well-deserved. Crosby, little chance to, sort of get some rest after, going through all the conditioning that he had to go through to get back into the lineup. But he looked great. Looked like he never left. Pens versus the Winnipeg Jets at home. Nice to see them back home. They have a 5-game road trip. So nice to see them back home for the weekend. We'll see what happens, and we'll keep you updated next week as we are inching ever so closely to the end of the NHL regular season. We're going to take a break. Before we go, just to update you on basketball, Vanderbilt did finish off McNeese, so that game is in the books. It is over. The final score, 78-68. They win by 10, so we do not get a second 12-5 upset today. Michigan State absolutely annihilating North Dakota State. It's 53-29 with 17-12 left. That should be even worse as we make it down the stretch. And Arkansas up 58-43 against Hawaii with 17:48 left to go in that one. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk Major League Baseball and your Pittsburgh Pirates, because if I am on next week, it'll be right after opening day. So we'll give you a little preview as to what to expect from your Buccos. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you have a choice for your physical therapy provider? NovaCare Rehabilitation offers same-day appointments, and oftentimes you don't need a prescription from your doctor to see us. We will make sure that you are treated as an individual and will work directly one-on-one with you to help achieve your goals. You have tried the rest, now try the best. NovaCare, Delaware Avenue in Uniontown. Phone 724-437-0556 to schedule your appointment today.
Hey, you looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle? Well, look no more, because with over 200 vehicles, Gary's Auto Sales is the largest used car dealer in the area. Whether you want a car, a truck, or an SUV, you'll absolutely find what you're looking for at Gary's. Gary's has been in business since 1974. You can visit them online at Gary'sAutoSales.com, or you can give them a call at 724-626-8080. Gary's Auto Sales. Many miles, many smiles.
Join WMBS Saturday mornings at 8:15 a.m. for the Master Gardener Show with Bert Sessler from Penn State's Master Gardener program. The weekly program will take you through the growing season, from planting your garden, preparing the soil, starting plants from seeds, through to the planting of vegetables, herbs, annuals, and perennials, to the fall harvest of vegetables. Our Master Gardener program is being brought to you each Saturday by Miller's Greenhouses and Flower Shop, Route 119, Smithfield.
Franco's Golf Center is open during the winter months, Tuesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m., closed Monday. With 2 state-of-the-art simulators, Franco's is your destination for indoor golf. The Full Line Pro Shop is also open for your shopping convenience with gift certificates available. The outdoor range is also open year-round, weather permitting. Call 724-438-6651 to reserve your indoor golf tee times. Franco's is located on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Stop and see them today.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 to 4:30 and Saturdays 8 to 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Braggs a call today, 724-439-3228, for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
WMBS.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. We are at the final segment of the show. This is always like the favorite because I can get distracted by these basketball games. Sometimes I actually sit and watch, but apparently now there's like this free preview. You get it for an hour, then it shuts you off.
Uh-oh.
And I don't feel like logging into every streaming site that I have to try to watch any more of it.
Right.
So normally I'll start watching the games and I'll just let Nick start talking. I'm not even listening to what he says. But
Neither am I.
Just looking at scores. Just looking at scores today, and there's not much left. There's a couple of games that are still ongoing. They're blowouts, so it's probably nobody's even sitting around watching them except the people that root for those teams or went to those schools. But outside of that, I think we've pretty much gotten solidified. Probably people are close. Maybe they're undefeated at this point. It's hard to say. I took a hit with McNeese. I thought they would somehow, some way knock off Vanderbilt. But
What a
in
shame.
the end, I didn't have them going any further than that.
No.
So I'm still going to watch because my bracket isn't busted yet. That's apparently what we determined was the reason.
Right.
Now, speaking of watching things, then you sit and you wonder, how many people are going to be watching the Pirates this year? I would say early on a lot because you're sold and convinced based on the hype that they sent you that Marcelo Ozuna, Ryan O'Hearn, and Brandon Lau are the best of the best out there that you could bring into this team and make it better. But in reality, when you start looking at players that could have been signed by this team, and don't let them fool you, they weren't in on any of them, and they definitely have the money to sign all of them. They didn't get anybody. They didn't get Suarez, who, by the way, was the hero of that fake Olympics, right? Didn't he have a big hit or something in that thing for Venezuela? They didn't get Tucker. They didn't get Schwarber. They didn't get the guy from Japan. They didn't get Alonso. They didn't get any of them. If they would have got one of those guys, maybe I would sit here and say, yeah, it looks like they actually care a little bit, and it might turn around. But they got 2 guys through free agency on the cheap and 1 guy in a trade with an expiring contract. There's no obligation to any of them. They figured, well, we'll sign O'Hearn to this 2-year deal. The reason why they did it is because the money is so low, they can easily trade him if they want to, and nobody's going to blink an eye at that salary. As far as Ozuna, that's a reclamation project. They got him for nothing because nobody else wanted him, and they're hoping that somehow he can mentor a 27-year-old who, after 6 years in the league, still can't figure out how to play the sport. he's getting paid to play. And Brandon Lau, that's an easy trade in July if it doesn't work out, because with the expiring contract and the allure of what he did with the home run power in Tampa, any team will be looking for him at the deadline. So in the end, you put no risk out there whatsoever. You didn't extend a ton of money out there to bring these people in. You did really nothing more than what you did the year before. You just brought in different faces. Instead of Tommy Pham and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and McCutchen, now you've replaced them with Lau, Ozuna, and O'Hearn. You still have Triolo playing third. You still have that train wreck out in center. You still have Nick Gonzalez playing short, or Nick York, whichever one you decide to put there. You still have Henry Davis or Bart behind the plate. You've not upgraded this team. I've said it every week because I want to try to make sure everyone understands that this team is basically the same as it was last year, with maybe a small upgrade over the three guys you got rid of as compared to the three guys you brought in. But if I would have asked you at the end of last year to take three people off the roster, are those the three you would have taken off? Would you have kept Tommy Pham after he put his glasses on and figured out he can actually see? Would you have kept him over Triolo? Would you have kept him over Cruz? I'll bet you would have. I'll bet you would have kept McCutchen over Cruz too, because McCutchen is the sort of indoctrinated best player in the franchise that you can remember watching if you're younger. And I'll bet you'd have kept Mr. Single, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa as well. I'll bet three of the guys that you would have wanted off of the roster, I'll bet they're all still on this roster. And that's the problem, because they didn't upgrade where they needed to upgrade. They just interchangeably selected certain parts to replace them with others. That's what they did. The pitching staff, I think, is worse. The rotation doesn't look anywhere near like what it did last year. Jared Jones is on the injured list. Oviedo's a Red Sox. I mean, you start looking at guys that you probably had projected into this rotation. I'd have rather had Bailey Falter at this point than some of what they're going to put. Actually, I wish they'd have kept Mike Clevenger and put him in the rotation, because that might be better than Majinski or whoever is going to be this number 5 starter. Your Queedy, who's looked really bad. That's what you have. Bubba Chandler's inconsistent. Keller looked real bad yesterday, and we know he always tanks in the second half. So you've got Paul Skeens. You've got at the back end of the bullpen, Matson, I think, had a 0 ERA in the spring. I think Santana might have as well. So there's your two guys there with Gregory Soto, Justin Lawrence. You'll be fine there. It's your middle relief and your rotation, and these are the pitchers that are going to pitch in the most important times of a game. The most important time of the game usually is the 5th inning when the starter gets pulled, and you bring some nobody in to pitch the 5th and 6th, an important time of a ball game. And then if you're winning, you turn it over to those other guys that I mentioned to try to close it out. But I think that 5th and 6th are more important than the 8th and 9th most times for the Pirates. And then you've got your starter. You're going to have them on a pitch count. You're going to have Skeens is your guy. You're going to have him on a pitch count. So you're going to get more than 5 or 6 innings in a work on a given night. What are you saving him for? You want to make sure the arm's fresh when he goes to the Yankees? I mean, in the end, what are you doing with these guys that is so worrisome that you're going to be afraid that their arm's going to fall off if you have them out there an inning or two later in a game that they're dominating? And then, of course, the big question, Connor Griffin. Connor Griffin could be the game changer for this team if they decide to keep him on the roster. I know they're not. Nick knows they're not. And deep down, all of you know they're not. They kept him around till the end just to play with you a little bit in hopes that you're thinking, oh, maybe he'll actually make this team. He's not going to make the team. He'll never make it while he's 19. I question whether he'll make it at the end of March or April when he turns 20. Maybe when he's 29. But has he done enough to deserve it in the spring? Maybe, maybe not. The average isn't there. That's what they'll cite. Right. But he does have 3 home runs. He showed power. He showed skill as a defensive player. They talked all about that with Kiner-Falefa, what a great defensive player he was. Right. We hear that with Mr. Gold Glove invented winner Jared Triolo. If Griffin's that good defensively, why can't he make the team when these other players make it solely for defense? A lot of what the Pirates are going to tell you will make no sense, but chances are most of you, long-time, hard-nosed Pirate fans, you'll buy whatever they sell you because you've bought it for the last 40 years. But in the end, what's the best move here for this team? Do you satisfy the ever-shrinking fan base and put him out there?
I would.
Or do you satisfy your pocketbook and send him down to, Altoona? Does he go to Indy? Where does he go? He never got above Altoona last year.
Well, if they want to satisfy what the fans want, they'll put them out there on opening day. But if they want to satisfy their pockets, which is what they care about, then they'll keep them down, either AAA or AA. But yeah, I'd keep him up. I mean, 19, you don't want to get thrown by that age. He looks good. And certainly you got to sell something to the fans. And Paul Skeens doesn't pitch. Here's an everyday guy that you could market, and I don't know why you wouldn't put him out there.
Just for once, if you're listening to me and you're a Pirate fan, I don't know why you're listening to me if you're a Pirate fan. You should be super angry and furious at me. But if you're a Pirate fan and you're listening to me, just think about something. If they're that concerned by having a better player make this roster at 19, all that should tell you is they have no intention of giving this guy another contract. So they're telling you, we're going to have him for whatever years we have him for protection. They'll never have him up at the beginning of the year because they might mess up and he might win Rookie of the Year like Skeens did. Then you lose a year of protection and you get one step closer to arbitration. If they're telling you that we're not going to sign him because he's only 19, they're telling you they're never going to sign him. And it's just going to be that continuous parade of people who are there that are good. They stay until they're ready to make money, and the Pirates aren't going to give it to them. They're going to whine and cry poor, even though everything out there tells you the owner's a billionaire. He's going to say it's a lie, and he isn't. And in the end, they're just going to let them walk. They're going to let Skeens walk. They're going to let Griffin walk. They're going to let everybody walk that comes through because they're not going to pay them what they're worth. And it's very easy to sit there and say, as a fan base, well, they don't have that kind of money. Well, neither does Baltimore, and they just brought in Pete Alonso. They re-upped Henderson. They re-upped Rushman. Like, these guys are going to be around for a while. You might not be able to do that with every player on your roster as a small market team, but you're able to do it with a couple. They do it with none. They're the only team that does it with none. Even Tampa Bay re-upped Wander Franco. I mean, it didn't work out because he's sitting in prison right now.
Right.
But they
that
did give him,
backfired.
at the time, a huge contract.
They did.
An extension. And most teams do this with their young stars. If the Pirates refuse to do it, it's only because they're cheap. It's not because they don't have the money. And if they do not have this kid on the roster opening day, then they're telling you 100%, we have no intention of signing him beyond this rookie contract. Remember,
Right.
Paul Skeens didn't make it up to the team immediately. They made him wait another year to get onto that roster. Same thing's going to happen here. And if you go down and support that, then you need your head examined. I've said it before.
Well,
Force
it's
their
baseball,
hand.
Dave, and it's the closest team to our house. So what do we have? I mean, really.
Especially you. Look what they did to your brick.
I know my brick. I'll never forgive them for that, but I still go down. I still root for the team, and I like a lot of the guys on the team. It's just the other stuff
Nick
around
found
it.
a little piece of his brick. He doesn't want to tell
A
you
little
this.
brick.
But he
Nick's
went to
brick.
Reserve Township after we reported that, and he crawled into that recycling container.
I did, hands
and
and
he
knees.
found a piece, and he wasn't sure. It had an N and an I, and he just assumed it was his.
Right.
So he has this little piece of brick that he carries around with him. You have to ask him if you see him out and about.
It's
If
my
he's doing a
emotional
remote,
support brick.
ask him to show you the brick. It's his emotional support brick. But he has this little piece of brick that he carries in his pocket with him. I kind of feel bad for him because I'm not sure it's his brick, but he thinks it's his brick. So just so you know that it's bitter, but he does still go down and support.
Yeah, it's
I just heard
bittersweet.
when I came in he was acquiring some Pirate tickets.
Oh, absolutely. The family wants to go. It's a great day out. Bring your dog. Hannah Mears can interview it as it defecates. It's wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. Stay away from, where is that, the veranda? Where do they have
Veranda
all
in
those
left
dogs?
field. Yeah,
Because
left
it's basically, that's what it is. You take them down there, they defecate all over the place, and somebody else cleans up, which is much better probably than what happens at your house. So it's an easy excuse to take your dog and
Yeah, you're a
let
dog
somebody
guy,
else take
right?
care of them while they're there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Why not?
We did the mock interview. So Hannah Mears, this is what we envision. Hannah Mears is interviewing the dog
Right.
while this is happening, and she asks the dog how the Pirates are doing, and the dog replies back, "Rough."
I can't even.
It's the
We
dumbest
need to
joke
end this-
ever,
we
but I
need
had
to
to
end
do
the
it.
show
All
at
right,
that
sorry,
point.
sorry I interrupted you going
No,
through the
no, no,
Pirates.
no. No WNBA roundup now. We had to get that joke in. It's fine.
Are we at the end?
We're at the
Oh,
end.
we're at the
down to
end.
The last
That is all the time we have, everyone. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week after the Pirates. Make sure you listen.
You may have noticed a new internet company knocking at your door with claims like, "I'm not here to sell you anything," or "I wouldn't lie to you." The truth is, Armstrong has played an important role in your community for decades, and we're not going anywhere. That new internet provider will probably change their name, get bought out by another company, or fold completely. Armstrong. The internet you count on, the people you trust. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com today or anytime in the future.
Now, you don't have to travel too far for medical marijuana products. Go to Local Leaf in Scottdale for a wide variety of locally grown and locally sourced products, plus your questions answered on medical marijuana, qualifying medical conditions, or how to register for your medical card. Local Leaf by PHG off Route 119 in Scottdale, 412-417-4964. Online at localleafpa.com. Local Leaf, your medical marijuana dispensary with locally grown and locally sourced products in Scottdale.
Your local station, 590 and 101.1 WMBS Uniontown. And right now it is 6 o'clock, and we join Westwood One for March Madness action on WMBS.
Eligibility requirements. Tax Slayer. File fearlessly.
During Lowe's Pro Savings Days, the job works in your